Hello everyone, welcome to this week's Gran Turismo 7 Daily Race C Race and Strategy Guide, where we're off to Fuji International Speedway in Japan, and we are in the hot mess category that is Group 2. We've got 12 laps to get round, tyre wear at times 6, fuel at times 2, just the racing soft tyres available. There is a mandatory pit stop in this one, as is pretty much usual for Daily Race C at the moment. BOP is on, damage is light, it's a rolling start, and slipstream is real. None of that silly custom slipstream, thankfully. And for your settings, all you can change on the car is the brake balance. But that's going to be the least of your problems, because this is one of the messiest races I think we're ever going to have in Daily Race C. And that is down to the fact that Group 2 is a complete mess of cars, and there is a selection of competitive cars that all have very different characteristics, which just leads to incredibly messy racing. And we'll discuss that a lot more as the video goes on. Now, this is not our first rodeo around Fuji International Speedway in Group 2 car, and traditional thinking would make you think that the GT 500 cars from 2016 would be the most competitive. It certainly was the case the last time we did this combination, and in particular it was the Honda NSX. Good handling car, not too bad on a straight, but in a kind of race like this with fairly high tyre wear on the racing soft tyres, this car is definitely more gentle on the tyres compared to the Lexus RCF and the Nissan GTR. So yeah, I jumped into the Honda NSX, as did quite a number of drivers in front of me. There was a few people in the 2008 Lexus, which is also pretty good on the tyres, and has fairly similar characteristics, at least to the 2016 cars. But there is also some people in the new addition to Group 2, which is the Toyota GT1. And I thought, well, they're just kind of jumping in that car because it's the first race of the week and they just want to try it out. I did not expect that car to be competitive in the slightest, and I'm going to be proven wrong as this race unfolds. But as it is, most people are actually in the Honda NSX from 2016. So a little bit of side-by-side action there into the chicane. We're going to get ahead of mod cars into the last sector here. That's going to put us up into P13, starting down here in last place. We've got Jack just in front of us, going to give him a little bit of a tap there. It's a bit of a messy race, this one, in all sorts of levels. Most drivers here obviously just kind of getting to grips with the track and car combination as ever. I certainly hadn't done a whole lot of laps of practice, maybe about 3 corners, what I usually do. And surprisingly to me, Jack is going to go into the pits here, and that's going to turn out to be a very bold strategy, certainly in the NSX, because he's not going to change the tyres. There's no point pitting at the end of lap 1 and changing the tyres. Now, we've got some damage here as we go down into turn 1, so we've been kind of monstered down the straight by mod cars, and Ape there, who's under a new PSN, Brown Banana, sir? I don't know. Interesting. Ape always likes to come up with an interesting name, that is for sure. But we managed to maintain that position, and we're going to jump forward here to the end of, or start of lap 4, but I'm going to get it all wrong in the braking zone into turn 1, and thankfully we managed to have enough wits about us to just slightly move the car to the left hand side and avoid going back to the back of Hoxton. And we actually didn't lose a massive amount of time, maybe around about 3 seconds. We did do a 134.9 given, and we're doing 132.6, so only actually about 2.5 seconds lost from what could have been a lot more of a catastrophe of a accident. But come to the end of lap 5 now, and look at that tyre wear. The NSX is good on tyres as well, and our front left is suffering. The front left does all the work around Fuji, so we're going to come into the pits here at the end of lap 5. Not quite the midpoint, but I know that the tyres come out of the pits cooler, and you can always do an extra lap on your stint for the second part of the race. And that was the plan here. We caught back up to the pack, where we're getting a little bit held up. Now we come into the pits about 10 seconds behind Consta. We're going to change the tyres. 5.4 seconds is our stationary time, and by the time we get down into the braking zone at turn 1, we're going to be 28 seconds behind Consta. So your pit loss is 18-ish seconds for changing the tyres. Now, there is an option to not change the tyres in a particular car, and I'll talk about that a little bit later on, but for any of the 2008 or 2016 cars, you're definitely going to want to change the tyres, so don't worry about how much time you would save in the pits if you didn't change them. So all the pit stops have pretty much been made now, I believe. Hogston pitted at the end of lap 6. We didn't quite manage to get the jump on him. And I did feel like we had a little bit more pace, so he goes a little bit defensive into turn 1. We're going to launch it round the outside, and we get alongside into the acceleration zone down into turn 2. Now we're about halfway alongside here. I kind of felt I had to try and leave the nose in here and try and go for a little bit of a move. I feel like Hogston just kind of went for the racing line, if I'm honest with you. There's a little bit of contact, nothing too major, but I think it's a 50-50 that one. I'm not sure, let me know what you think in the comments, but I think Hogston kind of just went straight for the racing line into that corner. But on the other hand, should my car have really been there? Was I far enough alongside? I felt like I was at the time. I felt like I was a little bit quicker, and so we keep the position up into P12. And look who's in front of us. We have Jack Naumo. Now we've seen Jack pit at the end of lap 1. He's not changed the tyres, and you can see he is absolutely dying on the tyres. Now Jack's very good on the tyres. I've mentioned it several times on live streams. So as we come into the left-hander here, I'm going to launch it up the inside. It's not a good move. I'll hold my hands up. That is not a good overtake. But I knew Jack was dead on the tyres. We had places to be, you know. And I think Jack would probably understand that as well. I'm pretty sure, I never checked the replay, but I'm pretty sure Jack's probably running on the rims by that point. And we come up across another car struggling on tyres. It's our good friend Got Max Power in the Nissan GTR. That car is pretty bad on tyres. We were all over him for the last lap. We put it down the inside into the last corner. He's going to come back up underneath us. He's going to get a little bit of slipstream. The GTR does have a good bit more grunt than MSX. It's a drag race down to the line to finish in the top 10. Who's going to get it? We're very much alongside. And Max gets it by 2/1000ths of a second. 18 minutes 40 the winning time. And look, 3 of the top 5 cars are the Toyota GT1. That really did surprise me. Really did surprise me. Now I was listening into Wynn's live stream as I was doing that race there, and I was listening to some of the chatter, and what I could gather was that the Toyota GT1 was very fast on the straights, struggled a little bit in the middle sector, but seemed to be very good on tyres. So I jumped into the next race in the Toyota GT1. Now I had not done the time trial, so I did not have a clue what I was doing in this car. But I'm going to show you the kind of story between the Nissan, not the Nissan, the Toyota GT1 and the Honda NSX. So Mod Cars there has had a little bit of a come together, I believe, with Hogston into turn 1 and is recovering as we pass him into turn 2. But look how much more grip that Honda NSX has at certain points of the track. So we struggle to get the car stopped there into the left-hander, but the Honda NSX just goes underneath us and easily passes us. Now we've got the straight line speed here going down into the chicane, but we don't have the brakes. Mod Cars is going to go defensive. He's going to go a little bit too defensive. He's going to brake a little bit too late, and we're going to go back around him into the last sector. So coming through the last sector now you would expect the Honda NSX to be very strong here, and it is, but it's not an easy place to overtake unless you kind of just launch it down the inside, and Mod Cars has been very patient with my car through here. It's not really quite on the back of us, but you can see down in the radar he is getting a slightly better exit. Now this is the part of the track where the Toyota GT1 should be strong, and I wanted to just get an impression as into how much more speed this car had down the straight compared to the NSX. So I'm playing a little bit, I played a few games there, let's just say, and I'm trying to break the slipstream as we exit the last corner. And you can see we're going to open up a gap of around about half a second. Now this Honda NSX does have the slipstream there obviously, so take that into account, but I reckon the Toyota GT1 can maybe take about 6, 7, 8 temps out of a Honda NSX down that main straight alone. So it's an interesting kind of, well, interesting, is that the word? I don't think it's a good situation to have these cars racing with each other. So again, we come into the middle sector here, and you're going to get another example, demonstration of just how much more grip and how much quicker that Honda NSX is through the middle sector. Just nothing I can do. He just easily puts the car in the right place and has so much more grip through the corners. But this is the other thing between the Toyota GT1 and the Honda NSX. As we come to the end of lap 6, the NSX is kind of starting to now die on its tyres, whereas the GT1 is okay. So Mod Cars really didn't pull that much away from me there over the next few laps. So into the pits we're going to come here in the GT1. We did change the tyres, And as we come to the end of our second race here, we have caught up with Brown Banana. He seems to be struggling with the tyres a little bit here. I'm not entirely sure if he changed the tyres or not, because I believe you can do this race without changing the tyres. I know Wind did a race in this, didn't change the tyres. He finished with about 10% tyre wear left and was probably struggling quite a lot. So I think for the mere mortals out there, definitely be changing the tyres even in this car. But I do believe this car is capable of doing the no tyre change, which will probably save you around about 3 seconds. In terms of lap time, we did a 32.3 here in the Toyota GT1. We were doing 32.1s in the Honda NSX. For me, the NSX is faster over 1 lap than the GT1, but the tyre wear is just a factor you have to take into account. And so we come to the bit where we talk about the strategy, we talk about the cars, and as I said at the beginning of the video, I'm not really sure where to direct you on this one. I'm sure one car, the Honda NSX or the Toyota GT1, there is actually a third car in there, because you've got the 2008 Lexus, which also seems to be quite competitive. I'm not entirely sure what direction to push you in. I can just give you my experiences of the first 2 races. I think it's going to be the Honda NSX for qualifying. I'm pretty confident that's going to be the case. But what car is going to emerge as the race car, I really don't know. I really don't know at this point. But if you are in the NSX, you want to be pitting on lap 4, 5 or 6, or actually laps 5 or 6, because the tyre wear is quite severe on it. There's not really a big scope to kind of try and do like an undercut and do like an 8 lap stint. You could probably just about stretch the tyres to 8, but you'll be so slow at the end. So most people are going to pit on lap 5 or 6, just a traditional split it down the middle. For the Toyota GT1, you can do the no tyre change strategy and save yourself about 3 seconds, but you will be very slow at the end, and you will really probably just not worth your while, to be perfectly honest with you. And then you've got the Lexus, which I haven't managed to drive myself, and I forgot to save the replay of the second race, so I didn't really manage to get a look at how the tyre wear was working on that. I believe it's slightly better than the Honda NSX in terms of tyre wear, but I'd imagine you would definitely want to be changing tyres on that car as well. Maybe you just get a little bit more of a scope for maybe doing like a kind of slightly longer second stint. So we come to the end of the strategy guide, and I'll be perfectly honest with you, I really don't know what to recommend in this one. I'm sure as the week unfolds or the day unfolds, one kind of car will come to the fold. Will it be the NSX? Will it be the Toyota GT1? Will it be the Lexus SC430? One thing I do know is that if you've got a mix of these cars, the race gets very, very messy indeed. It's just not good for racing when you have cars that can do very similar lap times, but they kind of do that lap time in very different styles. So one car being very fast on the straights but slow in the corners, against a car that's very fast in the corners but not so good on the straights, just means that they come to certain situations on the track where accidents are inevitable. Even in the top split races, it's going to be messy. I can't imagine what it'll be like as you go further down the splits. They've just got like different braking zones as well. The Toyota GT1's got to brake a little bit earlier than the NSX. It carries less speed through the corners. It just, yeah, you can just see all sorts of carnage unfolding, and that is the big problem with Group 2 at the moment. It's been said 150,000 million times by everybody under the sun that plays this game that you just can't have cars of very different characteristics racing against each other. The simple solution, split them up. You know, you've got your 2016 cars, you've got your 2008 cars, and you've got your GT1 cars with the CLK, the McLaren, and the now Toyota GT1, and then you've got blooming a DTM in there as well. Just get another couple of DTM cars in, Polyphony Digital, and make them their own category. But yeah, it certainly won't be a boring race. It'll be interesting, but will it be fun? For me, I can see, unless it becomes like a one make, I just don't think this race is going to be a whole lot of fun. But yeah, hopefully the video has been useful in some way, shape or form, or at the very least entertaining. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Goodbye now.